Hi guys, I'm Matt and welcome back to Rybrook BMW in Shrewsbury. Now today I have BMW's Flagship, a car that we very rarely see and I feel very lucky to have my hands on. This is the BMW M760Li. Now first things first, that name, what does that mean? M stands for M Performance. The 7, it's a 7 Series. The 60Li. Now the 60Li is probably the most important part of that name. Now I'm sure everybody knows just how unbelievable the 7 Series is in terms of comfort and refinement. We'll go over that a little bit more a little bit later on. I'll show you over some of the comfort and the toys that are on this car because it's truly mind-blowing. But that 60, what lies up underneath that bonnet? Well, it's a 6.6 litre twin turbo V12. That is unbelievable. It produces 610 brake horsepower, which means that this large, long wheelbase executive saloon can go from 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. Now, this car, up until the M5 arrived, was the fastest accelerating car that BMW makes. It still holds the merit for the most expensive car that BMW makes. This particular model that I'm in right now has got an unbelievable amount of options. Now this car adds up to £143,000, which is a lot of money, but believe me, this is an awful lot of car. It's truly mind-blowing. So let's start with the comfort side of things. The 7 in that name. So this car is one of the most comfortable cars I've ever driven. It's unbelievable. Now you may have seen that I drove the M5 very recently. Now I'm going to be comparing that car to this one a lot during this video because let's be honest, they're very similar cars, although the M5 given is a full M car, whereas this is just an M Performance. Now the comfort side of this car has the M5 lit. The M5 is beautifully comfortable, but this car just takes things to a whole new level. It has something called Executive Drive Pro. Now what that means is that the car stays completely stable no matter what the cornering. So basically the car can correct individual wheels depending on conditions. You can go over a massive pothole in this car and barely feel anything. For example, not sure if you saw that, but that was a huge pothole that I hit and I didn't feel anything in here. It's unbelievable. It's just the way that it drives on the road. It's so smooth, so comfortable. It's incredible. Now, as you'd expect with a 7 Series, this has all of the toys that you would expect. So let's have a look at some of those toys now. The interior of the 760 is a truly fabulous place to be. All of the leathers and all of the interior material is up to a truly high standard. This car is fitted with so many options, I can't list them all. But this particular car has heads-up display, it has heated and ventilated seats, it has the ambient air which makes the inside smell just amazing. You've got the Bowers & Wilkins surround sound system in this car, the full 360 surround view cameras. This one also has the enhanced parking package, which is the full park assist, which can bay park and parallel park. This also has the remote control parking, which I'll show you now. So what I'll show you now is remote parking. So with the 760 you get this, which is called the display key. A little option on here, which is called remote parking. So what I'll do, click this little button here, you can notice there's nobody in the car. And it's just started. So what I'll do, just while it loads, this car can now drive itself forwards and backwards. still, there's no one in there. If I press this little button now, just go forwards, you just watch the car. You can basically take your car for a walk. It's crazy. Once you're finished, so basically this sort of, the real world applications for this is that you can take it back. If you're in, imagine there's a really tight space here, there's cars either side, can't get in. You can though. If I just move the car backwards, there's still nobody in there, there's genuinely no one in there. Keep going, and then the car will stop before it gets to any obstacle at the back or the front. And all you do to finish, engine stop, car turns itself off. Let's jump back in and let's carry on with some of the technology. Also in this car, there's just so much in here. You've got everything is finished to such a high standard. But arguably, the best place to be in this car is actually in the back. So let's jump in there and I'll show you around the back of this car. Now, this is arguably where the 760 is at its best, in the back. This being the L, being the long wheelbase version, in the back here, there is an unbelievable amount of space. This car has also got options such as the rear entertainment, which is full TV function in the rear. It's also got massage seats in the rear as well as the front, and it's also got something, nice little button just down here, which is called executive seating. Now what that does, I'll press the button and I'll show you exactly what it does. So what it does is it folds the passenger seat down and basically gives the person in the back loads more room. Now obviously you can't do this on the driver's side, only on the passenger's side. Now what it does is it folds the front seat forwards, the TV is enhanced, and you get a little footrest which pops out, which means that you can fully stretch out in this car and just have the ultimate comfort. In the back of this one, it also has heated seats and ventilated seats. Also, you've got the full sun blinds throughout and the skylight as well. Now this is called Sky Lounge. Now this has a very, very beautiful pattern through it, which in the night shows up beautifully to whatever colour you set it. So you set it in the menu with the same way that you would with the lights. In the back here, it's just a truly fabulous place to be. It works so well as a driver and as a passenger, this car. It's beautifully, beautifully comfortable throughout. Everything is furnished so outstandingly well. Now that's the comfort part of this car done. Let's jump back into the front, take it for a spin, and let's see what the M and the 60 part of that name really means. Let's go. So now we've spoke about the 7 Series side of it, the luxury, the comfort. Let's talk about that M and that 60 part of the name. So the M stands for M Performance, so that gives a slight hint as to what this car is capable of. And the 60 refers to the engine, which, as I've mentioned, is a twin turbo 6.6 litre V12 producing 610 horsepower. Now, all that power is put into the road via BMW's X-Drive system, which is the adaptive four-wheel drive system. It's also you put through an 8-speed ZF box. Now, the reason that this car has the ZF box rather than the 7-speed DCT is quite a simple one. The DCT could not handle the torque that this car produces. It would simply just tear the gearbox apart. Now, the way this car accelerates is unlike anything I've ever driven. Because this car is so flat and so composed, the sensation of speed is very, very different. Now, as I mentioned, this car has something called Executive Drive Pro, which basically keeps the car completely flat. So when you put your foot down in a normal car, high performance car, the front end rises. But in this, it doesn't. It stays completely flat, which is a very, very strange sensation when you put your foot down. It basically just, the car is dead flat, doesn't braze at all, which means that you kind of lose that sensation of speed, which you do get in the M5. Now, the only way you can really tell just how ludicrously fast this car is by looking at the speedo, or the car that was following you that is now a good half a mile back down the road. Now, that speed is so manageable. The steering in this car is so precise. The executive drive is unbelievable. The way that it turns in, it does not feel the length and size that it does. The turn-in is beautifully crisp and easy. It's so agile and easy to place on the road. Now, as with any BMW, you can change how the car behaves with a little button down here. So you've got comfort, sport, sport individual, and so on. Now, the difference between comfort and sport in most cars is quite small. In this, it's not. It's completely different. In comfort, you can cruise from the top of Scotland to London and back in no trouble whatsoever. It's beautifully comfortable. It's so smooth and so quiet. But when you put it into sport mode, that completely changes. The exhaust valves are open. Steering is heavier but more responsive. The suspension firms up. Everything just feels a lot more immediate and quick. Just the way that this car drives, a car of this size and this weight should not perform how this car does. Now, bear in mind, this is not a full fat M car. This is an M performance car. Now, how does it compare to the M5? It's a difficult one to compare the two. Although they are very similar in many ways, they're also very different in many ways. This is designed to be a long distance cruiser with that capabilities under the bonnet every now and again, and the M5 is an out and out M car, so that car has a lot more M technology than this one. Now, if I'm driving them back to back, personally I would take the M5 because it's a much more raw, savage, emotional car. This car is, although it performs unbelievably, you kind of feel that that isn't this car. That isn't what this thing is made for. The character of this car is completely different to the M5, whereas the M5 is constantly egging you on to really grab it by the scruff of the neck and drive it really fast. This doesn't. This is just soothing. It's very, the smoothness of that V12 is beautiful. It's so smooth and so relaxing to drive. Every now and again you give it a bit of a tickle, a bit of a push, but it never really feels like it wants you to do that. It wants to be driven on the motorway 70 miles an hour everywhere, and that's where this car is fantastic. You could not tell what is underneath the bonnet in this car. Now, that's my personal opinion of the car. I personally, as I said, would have the M5, but this car is a phenomenal piece of engineering. Now, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like our Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for many more videos to come. And thank you again and again for all the support. And hopefully we can turn this into something much bigger and grow the channel and the Facebook to new heights. I will see you again next time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.